The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Umar Rashid and I'm the Marketing Manager at Persevia Inc. The purpose of today's webinar is to discuss how real-time insights can help you win big in BPCI-A. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel and I'll bring them up towards the end of the presentation. Now I'll turn the time over to our presenter, Persevia's CMO, Dr. Fawzia Khan. She's the industry leader in population health management, and today she'll take you through the strategies to become a success in BPCI program.
Thank you, Amara. Thank you everyone for joining and welcome to our webinar. We will be looking at the BPCI-A or Bundle Payment for Care Improvement Advanced Model. We will look at why this model is important to hospitals and providers. We will review it at a high level. We'll look at some of the timelines associated with this model. And then we look at the ways hospitals and providers can participate in this model. Again, we look at some of the success factors. What are the things that we need to focus on to make this a win-win for everyone, including the patients? And then we'll follow up with a Q&A session. We are moving away from a fee-for-service world to a value-based care ecosystem. And this is not a small change, but a major shift, which is resulting in redistribution of billions of dollars. This is the chance hospitals and provider groups have to embrace game-changing innovation and accelerate some of the core competencies which will make them successful in this value-based world. And some of you might have already started on this journey of improving patient-centered care, of improving quality and continue to decrease costs. In this model, CMS shares your claims data and you can develop critical insights based on the data. This is a very attractive model financially. We have done analysis of many of our hospitals and we have partnered with them as well, and it will result in significant savings up to millions of dollars for them. BPCI Advanced also forms the advanced APM path of MACRA, and providers who are joining this model are eligible for a 5% bonus and would not be reporting MIPS. They're exempt from MIPS, so that's also another attraction of this model. This is a voluntary model as opposed to some other models which like CJR. It is a single track model with an episode starting with either an inpatient stay or an outpatient procedure and continues for 90 days. There are 29 inpatient clinical episodes and there are 3 outpatient episodes. CMS provides what is known as preliminary target prices, which are based on hospitals' data in advance of performance years, and then the performance is measured against these target prices or TPs. Providers really have to think, including hospital and ambulatory providers, out of the box to manage these patients, because never before have they been responsible, for instance, in a hospital admission for 90 days post-discharge. So they really need to redesign care and think of best practices and how to monitor these best practices in those 90 days. The bundle payment is a total cost of care concept, where providers are given a single bundle payment for all the services which are performed to treat a patient undergoing a specific episode of care for initial stay, the anchor stay, and then 90 days after discharge. Some of the services which occur before the anchor stay are also counted in this bundle. Once the performance year starts, for 2018, that was October 1, CMS will perform reconciliation on a semi-annual basis. What they will do is they will compare the cost for the entire bundle to the already provided target prices and see if a provider group and hospital is saving compared to that target price, or they're spending more than the target price. Obviously, if they're spending less than the target price, this becomes part of their savings. There's a term that they use for this particular type of saving, which is NEPRA, and we'll go into that in a little bit later. If obviously a hospital or a provider group is spending more than the target price, then they will owe this money back to CMS. And the bundle, as you can see in this figure, composes of the inpatient stay or the procedure if it's an outpatient procedure, and different other components after the stay, such as readmissions, inpatient rehabilitation, nursing facilities, long-term care facilities, home health, outpatient services, and DME or durable medical equipment. These are the 29 clinical episodes that are available under this model. We are working with 34 hospitals at present who have selected about 20 of these clinical episodes in a combination of over 100 episodes in total. The more popular ones are acute myocardial infarction, COPD, bronchitis, asthma, CHF, which is congestive heart failure, also pneumonia, sepsis, renal failure, stroke, and UTI. Obviously, it depends on the expertise of the provider group and hospital, as well as their baseline data, which helps them in this selection. Like other alternative advanced APMs, CMS has selected 7 quality measures for this model. 2 of them are global, which are all-cause hospital readmission measure and advanced care plan. So no matter which bundle episode hospitals or provider groups apply for, they'll have to submit these 2 measures, and they have to follow up for these 2 measures and will be judged on the score of these 2 measures. The rest of the measures are particular for certain clinical episodes, and 20% of the final payment is tied to the quality score. We do not have 2019 timelines available, but we can speculate that it will follow the same process as the 2018 timeline, in which we do know that the next application period will start in spring of 2019. So this is a good time right now to think about this model and whether your group, your providers are ready for this program or not. The second cohort will start on 1st January of 2020. For 2018, the performance year has already started with October 1, and now the hospitals which are enrolled and are participants, they are responsible for cost and care for these bundles. They can drop these bundles if they think it is having a negative impact on their finances in May 2019. There is a hierarchy for how they're going to attribute the bundle to different providers. If a hospital and a provider group both apply for the same episode group in the same geography, the bundle will go first to the PGP and then the hospital. And even within the provider group, there's a hierarchy. The claim will first go to the provider who is attending provider and then to the operating physician. Now, there are 3 ways to get involved in this program. There are 3 different types of roles. The first is a convener. Conveners are the entities who manage the program and they bear the risk, and they can spread this risk across multiple episode initiators. Hospitals and provider groups who are responsible for the bundle and the episode groups, they are termed episode initiators. And any downstream participants, such as home health, other hospitals in the area, skilled nursing facilities, they are part of this program as participants. The way it works is that once CMS gets the application, they share the baseline spending data and the target price that we talked about back with their applicants. And this contains the total spend as well as breakdown of these different files of inpatient admission, which includes both the anchor payment and any readmissions, Part B spend, outpatient spend, nursing facility, DME spend, hospice, and home health spend. These target prices, which are shared by CMS before the year starts, are actually calculated by a complex methodology, which some of it they share with us, and is based on the geography and the risk profile of the hospital and the provider group. Once the groups, PGPs, and hospitals have this data, they can analyze this data. And I have a small image of a screenshot of our platform where it's easy to pick up the right episodes to apply for based on the previous year's data. The green circles represent favorable TP, which means that the hospital is spending less than the target price. And they can then keep this money to themselves, and they can look at this as a positive NEPRA for them going forward. And red circles are those in which hospital is spending more than the target price which has been provided to them. The savings are capped at 20% of the total revenue. We have talked about the difference from the target price, and that is termed as NEPRA, or Net Payment Reconciliation Amount. There's another component of savings which the hospital or provider group can keep to themselves, which is the internal cost savings. These are results of any improvements in their internal practices or expenses. Once the AIs get this money back and the conveners, they can decide to share this with their downstream participants, which are the providers or area nursing homes. 10% of the NEPRA is held back for the final quality scores, and depending on the quality scores, it can be added back to the payments. Now that we have reviewed this program and this model, what are some of the biggest success factors which will help hospitals and providers succeed in this value-based care model? One of the important things is to really tag these patients in real time. So as the patients are being admitted in the hospital, if there was a system where you can tag these patients in real time and you know that these are participants of a BPCI-A model, then you can track them. And you can ensure that there are no gaps in care. And if there are, you can go ahead and close those gaps in care. And you can track these patients from the hospital to long-term facilities, to nursing homes, even into their homes, and monitor their condition and their health. And this single record, which results because of all these entities are sharing just one record, should be accessible to all the providers. The hospitals that have been successful in these models have typically assigned patient care navigators or care coordinators who take care of these patients and also nurture the network and the relationships which are necessary to take care of these patients. For example, area SNFs and providers who take care of patients after discharge or after the outpatient procedure. This is just one example of how an entity can enroll in the bundle payment program. The corporate entity usually acts as a convener, and conveners do most of the work which my clinical colleagues will not find interesting, like admin work or the legal documentation, preparing the application to CMS, which is quite an involved process. And the hospitals and PGPs who choose to participate, they participate as EIs under that convener. They select the groups, and we just saw that selection based on the baseline data, with the hope that in the performance years also, at least they will continue to have the similar performance, if not better performance, with all these new tools. And the gains can be shared with other entities. This is just one breakdown of how NEPRA can be shared among participants, which is 5% to conveners, physicians and hospitals from anywhere from 35 to 40%, and the SNF around 25%. For, for a successful implementation of a system to manage these patients, it's required that we have a platform to monitor them in real time and redesign care based on their needs, not just in the hospital, but after discharge as well, whether these needs are related to medication compliance or patient education and engagement, and to monitor their costs as well. So there's a real-time component and there's a cost and utilization component. That component is also important. CMS sends every month monthly claims file giving back information to their conveners and EIs to look at their data. So right now it's about mid-November, and we're expecting October data anytime for our participant hospitals. And then the data can be analyzed and looked at, which will help us manage these patients in this month and next month. One thing which has been very useful for hospitals and providers is to assign care coordinators or patient navigators. And this happens at a provider group level or a hospital level. And these are care managers who are following these patients in the post-acute period, because remember, they are responsible, the EIs are responsible for 90 days post-discharge or post-procedure. And these care coordinators may also be involved in coordination with area SNFs and other home health and other agencies and providers, so that optimal care is given to the patient. The Sevilla team is very passionate about these new models and bringing our capabilities to our providers, hospitals, as well as provider groups. This is a platform our team has developed over the last decade. It's a very unique platform, and it provides CDS or decision support all through the life cycle of the care continuum. And we can help from program application to episode selection, through care design, care management, care coordination, and most critically, the cost and utilization management. I would like to conclude this presentation now, and if there are any follow-up questions, please write them in the chat box and we'll take them as they come. Thank you so much for your time today.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Fawzia. We'll go ahead and take some time for questions now. Just a reminder, everyone, please be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel. Let's have a look. Questions. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple of questions to start with. Okay. So The first question is, are these bundles going to become mandatory?
Well, we don't know for sure, but from the recent comments of HHS Secretary Azar, these bundles will become mandatory in 2019, and he has said that he will be reviewing the mandatory bundles. As you remember, the cardiac mandatory bundles were cancelled by the previous administrator. So yes, look out for them. He has especially mentioned the radiation oncology bundle, which will be mandatory starting in 2019. So we'll be looking at these bundles as they come out, and some of these will become mandatory going forward.
All right, thank you. The next question, the next question is Vashani wants to know if hospitals who are in CJR apply for BPCI Advance, if they can
Yes.
apply for that.
Yes, even if they fall under the mandatory CJR model, hospitals can apply for BPCI Advanced, but they may not apply for the MGR, the LE, the lower extremity MGR, the same bundle that is covered by CJR, but they can apply for all the other episodes in the inpatient or the outpatient area.
All right, so these are the questions we got so far. Meanwhile, Dr. Fauzi, is there anything else you wanted to cover before I call it a wrap up?
That's it. Thank you, Mara, and thank you everyone for attending.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. We'll email you the webinar slides and recording in the next 24 hours. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Have a great rest of the day.